Blog Talk Radio.
Down to sleep, lay me down. I pray my soul is mine to keep. My soul can never step outside this bed, never into all the evil. Now back from the dead.
Are you scared?
He's here.
Society.com and Living Dead magazine. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are going to have another great show this evening. At 8:30, actor and composer Michael Christopher will be on to discuss his epic career, including being the Hare Krishna Zombie in the original Dawn of the Dead from 1978, as well as some of his other films like the upcoming Night of the Living Dead Genesis, A Few Brains More, Die Die Delta Pi, and quite a few other films in his catalog. We will be reviewing Scream Factory's The Battery in our digital dismemberment at about 9:40 this evening. And our first DVD review will be Intervision's The Burning Moon. And this is a film that was very influential to me, both as just a horror movie fan and a special effects artist. So that will be an interesting discussion. We will also be featuring several bands in our Metal Blade spotlights throughout the evening. And as a matter of fact, we're going to go to our first double shot right now. The name of the band is Body Farm. The name of the CD is The Coming Scourge. And the song is The Coming Scourge.
We have come in to slay the human race.
welcome back to the Calling Hours Horror Podcast. You just heard a double shot of Body Farm. From the CD, The Coming Scourge, we opened up with The Coming Scourge, and after that, The Well of Decay. In about 19 minutes, we are going to have our featured guest, Mike Christopher, on, who was the Hare Krishna Zombie. He is also a composer, so we will have plenty to talk to him about. But before that, I think it's time we get into a little bit of digital dismemberment.
Digital dismemberment.
In our first digital dismemberment spotlight for the evening, we're doing a film that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is Olaf Ittenbach's incredible gore classic, The Burning Moon. First off, I would be remiss if I did not say thank you to fellow Horror Society writer Mac Brewer for getting me a copy of this film. We made ourselves a nice little trade, and I got something that I have been looking for years. To give you guys a little bit of background info from the press release, Intervision Picture Corp is pleased to announce the special edition DVD release of Olaf Ittenbach's shocking gore fest, The Burning Moon. Described by Vice magazine as unspeakable carnage, the last word in splatter-soaked German nihilism was shot on glorious VHS in the 90s and will be packaged for the first time with a rare, recently unearthed 45-minute bonus making-of documentary. And to give you more from the back of the box, when the Germans make a horror movie, says Mr. Beeks of Ain't It Cool News, they make a fucking horror movie. In 1997, writer, director, special effects master Olaf Ittenbach changed the face of video horror, force-fed its ripped-out eyeballs to screaming audiences, then used a drill, machete, and shotgun on its still-twitching torso. Ittenbach himself stars as a degenerate junkie who babysits his young sister with 2 bedtime stories of the damned. First, an escaped serial killer turns date night into a graphic family massacre. Then, a country priest on a rape and murder spree leads to a disturbingly explicit descent into hell. It became the VHS that shocked America. It has been banned in the motherland for nearly 20 years, and it remains perhaps the most violent and depraved shot-on-video saga in history. This is The Burning Moon. You know, I don't know what else I can say about it. I remember renting this film from a local video store here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and up until then, the movie had always been the stuff of legends and incredible stories, because back then, you know, DVD wasn't a prevalent format at that point. So I rented the film. My ex-wife would absolutely not watch it with me, and I can't say I blame her. It was not something that she would probably have enjoyed. What drew my attention to the film more than anything else while watching it was, while the acting was passable, this was certainly not a film that had big-name actors, a huge budget, sound production, all of that. The film was shot on VHS, and you can tell that by watching the film. However, one of the things that really made this movie stand out, of course, as many of you know, I also do makeup and special effects work. And even for something that was shot on VHS, The Burning Moon's special effects are absolutely stunning, to the point where you could almost believe what you're seeing on the tape is real. I definitely feel like it deserves high marks and should be credited along with such films as the original Guinea Pig series, particularly The Devil's Experiment, where that wound up being investigated by the FBI because certain people thought it was an actual snuff film. I think the effects are on that par. The stories, I think, belt along at a decent enough pace. There may be some lingering here or there, but one of the other things that really sticks out about this film is that the passion that Olaf had for making this film. You know, at that time where he lived in Germany, independent filmmaking, especially something of this graphic nature was certainly frowned upon. And, you know, he was certainly lucky that there were no repercussions on him for going out of his way to make a gore classic. This feature is absolutely stunning in terms of what it offers you in terms of collectability. As far as the actual presentation goes, there are 2 DVD covers. It's a flippable DVD cover. The cover that I prefer looks more like the jumbled mess and a collage of pictures along with gruesome guts and things like that. Then there's also the classic video cover, which has the man on the front basically quartered with the skull and the moon. Either one make an extremely suitable cover. Case is a nice clear plastic, and the printing on the paper is extremely nice and sharp. So the presentation of the disc is extremely high-end. As far as special features go, it was mentioned the making of the Burning Moon featurette is on there, and it is in German. But this is absolutely amazing. I didn't know this footage even existed. A lot of times when I critique films, especially films that are put on Blu-ray that are re-releases, I kind of feel like it's an opportunity for them to delve into the history of the film, to get some behind the scenes, the posters, interviews, commentary, whatever you can get. And I know a lot of times that's not always possible due to cost and where everybody lives and things like that. And while it would be nice to actually have a audio commentary with Olaf or anyone that was in the film, this making of the Burning Moon featurette, which has running time of about 47 minutes, really goes into a lot of details and aspects of how they went about making the film and how Olaf was able to keep his vision of what he wanted to have come across. Now, this is certainly not a film that I would recommend to everyone. This is an extremely graphic film. This is not some school film project. This isn't, this is below ultra budget, ultra low budget, but it's absolutely stunning what they're able to pull off. Definitely something that a young filmmaker who wants to see what grit and determination can do for you. Olaf Ittenbach has certainly gone on to have an incredible career as a special effects artist, actor, and director. I mean, some of the titles that we can go to, 2001's Legion of the Dead, 2006's Chain Reaction, Primotos, Legion of the Dead 2, Evil Rising. So, I mean, we could go on and on and on. It's needless to say that Olaf has definitely cemented his legacy in the genre. The film also comes with a trailer for The Burning Moon and a couple of other trailers for Intervision Films. As far as recommending it as a film for collectors, definitely. The film, based on the merits of how great the special effects were and how much time and effort went into the film, I would rate the film about a 3.5 stars overall. As a gore fan, I would rate it higher, but trying to think about the overall, like I said, about a 3.5 inching upwards. The disc, as an overall, granted there aren't a ton of special features, but the presentation of the disc with the flippable covers is extremely nice. The DVD art on the actual CD is fantastic. I loved the feature, which is more than we have ever gotten off of any other release of this film. I would definitely give the disc about a 7.5 overall out of 10. So definitely get online, head over to Intervision if you can get a copy through them. If not, check eBay. This is not a highly expensive title, but it is a hard title to find, and true gore aficionados would truly enjoy this film. So make sure to run out and get your copy of Intervision's Olaf Ittenbach's The Burning Moon. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we are going to have our feature interview with the Hare Krishna Zombie, Michael Christopher. But before that, we're going to go into another double shot of Metal Blade music. And I think the song titles are appropriate considering who we're getting ready to talk to. The name of the band is Facebreaker. The name of the CD is Dedicated to the Flesh. The name of the song is Carving for Brains. Welcome back to the Calling Hours Horror Podcast on Horror Society Radio. You just heard a double shot of Facebreaker off of the CD dedicated to the flesh. You just heard Zombie Flesh Cult. And we opened up that set with Carving for Brains, which I think is highly appropriate considering our guest who should be calling in a moment, Mike Christopher, who was in the original 1978 Dawn of the Dead as the Hare Krishna Zombie. Not only that, Mike is a successful composer and has done a wealth of genre films over the last 6 years. So there are going to be a lot of great titles to talk about, including Bikini Monsters, Alien Vengeance 2, The Rogue Element, The Sleaze Box, A Few Brains More, which was actually directed by Christine Parker, who I worked on with in The Forever Dead. They highly talked about Die Die Delta Pi. There's Joe Vampire. There's Psychotic State, directed by a friend of the show as well. So, but I do believe at this time, Mike, are you there?
Hey, if that
Yes.
Mike Christopher guy doesn't show up, I want my money back.
You know, it's terrible.
Yeah, they're celebrities. They're never on time.
How you doing?
Great, man. How are you?
I'm good. I want to thank you so much for having you on. And, you know, if I don't say this, I have a feeling he's going to bitch at us both later. We both need to say thank you to Mac Brewer, fellow writer over at Horror Society. He was the guy that kind of gave me the contact info to get in touch with you. So.
Yeah, hey, Mac. How's it going, man? Thanks
I know
for the
he's
great
out there
review.
somewhere. Yeah, I know he said he couldn't listen to the show live tonight, but I know he'll be listening a little bit later on, so he can't say that we didn't thank him for everything he did for us.
Yeah,
you know,
he wrote a great
Go
review for Joe Vampire, the movie I'm in too. That's how we kind of connected up recently.
Nice. Well, and we'll be talking about as many of your films as we can during the interview tonight. But let's go ahead and get the elephant in the room out of the way. You know, 1978's Dawn of the Dead. When you did the film, you know, was it decided right away that you were going to be a feature zombie, and what led to the evolution of the Hare Krishna Zombie in the film?
Well, I was playing in a rock band at the time, and everybody in the band had a bald head. We were doing a space-themed theatrical show. We had geodesic crystals built around our keyboards, and we had little spacesuits, and we used multicolored grease paint. Everybody in the band was a different color. Mm-hmm. And so we got our band picture to George Romero, and he picked myself and the saxophone player for lead zombie roles in the movie. So, I mean, just because, bald-headed, there weren't too many bald-headed people, bald-headed zombies in Pittsburgh at that time.
Well, I mean, that's true.
Close.
If you go back and look at the series, there aren't very many.
Right.
You know, what led to it being, a Hare Krishna Zombie, though, and are you surprised, all this time later, how much that character is recognized and how much you are recognized because of it?
Well, of course, I'm surprised. I had absolutely no idea that the movie had taken off until 2006, actually. 2007 it was. 2007, I was working a job as a graphic artist, and a friend of mine sent me a link to the Hare Krishna Zombie action figure to a pre-order, and I couldn't believe it. And then No, I had never talked to anybody since the filming of the movie. I moved out to Los Angeles to do laser light shows after the movie was over. And But I just lost contact with everybody, and I'm not really a big fan of horror movies, and I just, had no idea that the movie had gotten so popular. But anyway,
now,
getting back to the original question, I was actually supposed to do another zombie role, and then they said, well, we found somebody else to do that, and we want you to do something else. We're not exactly sure it is, but don't worry, we'll get you something good. And I was kind of disappointed, but I said, okay, what the heck, And then they called me the production company called me up one day, and they said, we think we know what we want to do with you, but if you don't want to do it, it's okay, we understand. They said, well, what's that? I said, well, we want you to be a Hare Krishna.
Right.
I said, great. That'd be fantastic. He said, so you'll do it? I said, of course I'll do it, Because walking around Pittsburgh with a bald head, a lot of people used to yell Hare Krishna at me, which is funny, because it's like a premonition or something. This one guy came up to me on the street and he goes, hey man, are you a Hare Krishna man? Are you a Hare Krishna? And he got right in my face. I'm wearing like a blue jeans and a navy pea coat, and I'm sure I had a bald head, but I didn't look anything like Krishna, So he wanted to fight me right there on the street. I didn't know what to do. He's a little bigger than me. I looked him right in the eyes and I said, what the fuck are you talking about? He said, hey, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean a thing. I'm sorry. And he just ran away.
when it's come...
Yeah, it was probably 1975, so it would have been 2 or 3 years before gone to bed at this point.
A lot of people, a lot of fans talk about there's a subtext to Romero's original trilogy of zombie films.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to that? And do you feel like he was making a statement with the Hare Krishna Zombies, showing different religious faiths, whatever they may believe, coming back as zombies?
Well, I don't think he was making as much of a religious statement with the Hare Krishna Zombie as a pop cultural statement. Because back in the late 60s and early 70s, the Hare Krishna religion was very prevalent, and you couldn't go to the airport to catch a plane or a train station or the bus station or even go to get something to eat at lunchtime in the city where they had a real good standing. Like there was a Hare Krishna temple in Oakland, California, outside the University of Pittsburgh. So I guess they would just drive down to downtown Pittsburgh and just pester the hell out of people. And I'm not sure if you know what they did. What they would do is they would say, here, Hare Krishna, peace and love to you. We would like you to accept this gift of a stick of incense. They go, look, man, I really don't want to get involved. And they go, no, please, it's free. And then if you keep telling them no, then they get this dejected look on their face, And then if you take the stick of incense, then they go, well, we'd really like to get a donation. Can you give us $1? You go, look, man, you just told me it was free, And then you try to give it back, and they wouldn't take it back. And then they keep asking you for money, and so you start to walk away, and then they no, don't walk away. We're really trying to spread the word of Krishna, Lord Krishna, and maybe you'd like one of these books. It's like our Bible, and it was the Bhagavad Gita, and it was a nice, thick, heavy book. And they go, no, man, I really don't want the book. And no, please take it. It's a gift. And if you take that, then they would ask you for $20. You go, look, you said that was free, And this would go on and on and on until finally you just get mad and you'd leave, and then they would follow you down the street, and you'd still try to get the money off of you. And it's just really annoying. So
now, 1978 was. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, that was more or less the impetus of using the Krishna Zombie was to poke fun at the annoying creatures that were very prevalent back in the day.
Now, 1978 saw the release of Dawn of the Dead. And then, now, of course, we all know IMDb can be wrong sometimes, but according to IMDb, there was a 30-year gap. You didn't start doing film again until 2008. In that time in between, as you had mentioned, you had gone to L.A. and you did laser light shows for Laserium and Laser Media, Tangerine Dream, New Kids on the Block, stuff like that. Tell us how you went from, just doing this part in this film to going into, the laser light shows.
Well, I was in the Fluid Band, and we played a couple of concerts. We played one concert at the newly owned theater where we were living. It was in Homestead, and we played. I think we played one or two other outdoor rock festivals, but I really can't remember exactly how many gigs we really played. And then things were just getting really ridiculous. We didn't have any money. We were driving cabs. We couldn't. We were traveling around this one guy's Nova back and forth. We had to pay rent on a rehearsal hall, and things just were not coming together. We had gotten a phone call from Tim Fowley. I'm not sure if you know who that guy was. He was the manager of the Runaways, and he tracked us down. And I remember getting a call from him sitting in the living room one day, and we had heard through a newspaper article, and maybe it was some trade magazine or something out in Los Angeles, that Kim Fowley was looking to pick up this bald-headed band from Pittsburgh. And so we thought, well, this might be really cool. Maybe this would be like a lucky break. And when he called and he started talking to us about the band, he started telling us his idea, what he wanted. He said he wanted us to come out to L.A. and he was going to rewrite all of our music. And we were going to do a show about aliens coming to Earth and having sex with Earth women and creating babies with two heads and tails. It's going to be this really ugly, grotesque, sexual, horrific band thing that we wanted to do.
Yeah, that sounds a little strange.
Yeah, I mean, I was going beyond that, and I told him, no, man, it really wasn't what we had in mind. We were more of a spiritual, etheric, new age kind of a thing. We weren't really from outer space. We were supposedly the story was we were from inner space, and we were a projection of the wishes and desires of the people of planet Earth. So when I turned him down, he said, "You don't understand." He said, "When you get out here, within a week, I can have you going to parties every night and having sex with as many chicks as you wanted. You guys will be famous." And I said, "Yeah, but it's like this really wasn't what we had in mind, And he started screaming at me on the phone. "I'm Kim Fowley. Do you know who I am? Who are you to talk to me like this?" And I said, "Dude, I didn't call you. You called me." And he said,
"Oh man."
He said, "So that's your answer, huh?" I said, "Yeah, I'm sorry, sir." So I don't know if everybody. I don't know if everybody in the band agreed with me, but at that point we just kind of we went on for a little while longer, and then we just decided that we really had no backers, and we really had no means of financial support. And different people in the band were sort of kind of wandering off from the philosophical end of the band and stuff. But I decided to go to electronic school, and I sold my ARP 2600 synthesizer to the guy who was doing laser light shows at the Bill Planetarium in Pittsburgh. And we kind of got along really well, and he asked me if I wanted the job as a backup laser since I was studying electronics and I need music. Because you had to actually play the laser consoles to the music. And so I got started doing that like as a part-time job while I was going to school. And then I met some people from the Los Angeles end of the company, and they were looking for somebody to travel and do special projects, which was mostly trade shows and outdoor aerial special effects and some concerts and stuff, but mostly it was most trade shows. And so I go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was going to say, and then you went on from there. Didn't you do something with digitizing effects work and then putting it back onto 35 millimeter film?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I did was after the laser stuff, I went to Oberheim Synthesizers, and I was the lead quality control guy for the sequencer's drum machine, the Oberheim system. It was the first sequencer drum machine and synthesizer that you could actually sync everything to tape I did some recording sessions at Capitol Records and did some commercial work. And this guy thought it was going to take 5 or 6 hours to record the commercial. And I had the whole thing. From the time I walked into the door until we had all the tracks laid down, it was like less than an hour.
Nice. Well, there's something to be said for being a professional.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then I picked up a bunch of synthesizers, and I was doing some studio work. And Oberheim had to lay some people off, so I volunteered to be one of the. I said, "Do I get unemployment with the layoff?" And they said, "Yeah, why?" I said, "Well, a lot of people here have families and they're going to need their jobs and stuff, so I'd like to volunteer to be laid off." I said, "What?" So I collected unemployment for 8 or 9 months and just played music, and then I got a job doing colorizing black and white movies for Springer. And I did that for a couple of years, and then after that I got into spent about 7 years doing quality control for digital post production, where they changed 35 millimeter movies into digital videotape. It was back in the Laserdisc days.
Oh yeah, I'm very familiar with Laserdisc.
Yeah, that was the time when I was doing that. And then after that, I started doing digital special effects for movies where we would digitize the film and then color correct I had to color correct the film to match a still, and then digitize the movie image once it was color corrected. And we used to use these sleds, these big long sleds. They were about 12 inches long, and that's what we used to store the digital images on. And then once I digitized the images, we sent it over to the special effects department. They would do all the manipulation, and then I would take the digital information. I had to shoot it back onto film, and then run the film up to Burbank, from Hollywood to Burbank in the middle of the night, and get them to shoot the digital back onto film so they could do dailies the next day.
It's great. I mean, I've seen that kind of work done. I can only imagine what it's like to do it. Now, for that 30 years, that's what you were doing. You were doing so much other stuff in the film industry, just in general. And then you mentioned 2007, 2008. What was it? Was it the remake of Dawn of the Dead that made you find out how popular the original was? What was it during that time period that made you go, damn, this, other than the action figure, this is big, this is cultural?
Well, this guy named Lee Carr did an interview with me, and he somehow he tracked me down, maybe MySpace or something like that, and then Bill Philpott, who is the agent, and he's the agent for the Days of the Dead horror conventions that happen out in the Midwest, Indian. I think like Indianapolis and maybe one in Atlanta. He ended up tracking me down through that interview, and he found my mom's telephone number, and because she had a published telephone number, he found my mom's telephone number and called her and said, "Hey, you know Hare Krishna Zombie?" And my mom goes, "Oh yeah, it's my son." He said, "Cool, can I talk to him?" And she said, "Well, how about you give me your number, and if he wants to talk to you, I'll call you back."
Pass it on.
So I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll talk to anybody." So the guy goes, "Hey man, are you really a Hare Krishna Zombie?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, why aren't you doing horror conventions?" Well, it's a horror convention. Well, it's like a Star Wars convention, except it's for horror movies. He said it happens like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You go to different cities, and it happens at a convention center, and you stay in a hotel and everything. I go, "Man, I was a graphic artist, and I said, I just lost my job as a graphic artist. I can't afford to fly anywhere right now." He goes, "No, you don't understand. They'll pay your way and put you up in a hotel if you just show up. So what do I do when I get there?" He goes, "Well, sign some autographs." I said, "Well, I don't have any pictures." Well, get a DVD and do a couple screen captures, and that's what I did. I dug out one of my DVDs of Dawn of the Dead and did a couple screen captures and sent them off to a photo lab and printed up a couple hundred pictures. That's how I started doing it. But I had no idea. I really had no idea.
So about that time, you got back into doing film, and your first film back was actually a comedy called Misconceptions. Can you tell us what led to you after all? Why was that the first film? What was it about Misconceptions that got you back on the set?
Well, the first thing I did was actually something with Rick Danford and Krista Grotti and Nicola Fiore and Joel Weinkoop. I ended up I was playing the Pets game on MySpace, and Nicola Fiore's significant other was playing, and she was having a hard time. I kept buying Nicola Fiore. I kept buying her as my pet on the MySpace thing, and she got mad, and she kept saying, because she kept getting mad because I would buy it from her, and then she'd buy it back, and then buy it from her, and she'd buy it back. So she was getting mad because she was losing all her money, and I explained to her how the game was supposed to work, and that you have to go out and buy other people. You just can't buy one pet to buy it back. You have to go out and buy other people and play the game. And so I took off and went somewhere. I came back in about $6, and by the time I came back, she had like 30,000 pet dollars on MySpace.
Oh my God!
So I became friends with her, and she said, "Hey, well, my girlfriend Nicola Fiore, and you should meet her too." So then she knew who I was, being a Hare Krishna Zombie, and she said, "We're shooting this movie for Rick Danford, and it's at the channel side, I think, down in Tampa. And you should show up here. You can be an extra." So I showed up, and I was an extra at the bar, and that's where I met Joel Weinkoop and Krista Grotti and a bunch of the Tampa film people, and that's how I got started doing movies again. I mean, I was never really an actor. I was just a non-speaking zombie,
Right.
So the whole zombie thing kind of transitioned into some speaking parts, and mainly I just started out like as a old, a crazy old man. I get a lot of crazy old men and police and cops or stuff like that, But the Misconceptions role was just something I saw on the TV news one morning, and they said they're looking for audience members for Misconceptions, and just show up at the university, at the theater on the university grounds. I've never even seen the movie. That I'm just in some crowd shot. Yeah. In the crowd shot.
Now, after that, saw you in 2009's The Uh-Oh Show, and now you really got to work with another genre legend as a director in that film, Herschel Gordon Lewis, and
right.
You were, so I mean, of course you've worked with George, and now you've worked with Herschel Gordon Lewis. Now, Herschel, of course, is legendary for the types of films that he's done and the people that he's worked with. Kind of tell us about how you got involved with The Uh-Oh Show, and when the other actors on the set, because at that time there were a lot of new people breaking in on that film as well. Kind of talk about what the response was when everyone found out who you were.
Well, I don't really get into that on the set, so much.
Right.
And my part was kind of small in the I.O. show. I was a ticket scalper, and my wife, Shay Burnett, was a protester. And so Shay had known Andy Lolino from a number of different movies that she had worked in the past. And I met Andy when I tried out the first actual tryout that I went to was for the movie Zombie, and I think they changed the name to something else. But I was just really right in the middle of moving, and I barely read the script through, and I just didn't really know what was going on as far as what you're supposed to do whenever you show up with a side. You're supposed to memorize it. You're not supposed to read it. So I guess I didn't do so well there. But they did remember me, and they liked the screen test how I looked on the camera. So they asked me if I would do this role of the ticket scalper, which is kind of cool. They changed the dialogue on the set, and they didn't tell the leading lady in the movie, and they didn't really tell her until a couple of minutes before the set. Which really she did a good job, like inserting the new dialogue real fast. But nobody thought to bring any stage money, so I'm selling her these tickets. She's supposed to have money to buy the tickets. It's supposed to be, I said, 500 simoleons for the tickets, $500. So she didn't have any money, and so I just, at that time, I was doing a little better off than I am right now. So I probably had about, $250 in my wallet full of small bills. They said, "Here, use this." So she used this. We shot the scene a couple of times, and then we were done, and I had given the money back to her because we thought we were going to reshoot the scene again, and we didn't end up shooting the scene again. She walked off with my money. I said, "Hey, wait a minute, that's my money. That's not Herschel's money." "Oh, I'm sorry."
I've had that happen on set too.
It was an innocent mistake, but it was a little too much to let go.
Right. Well, that's just one of those funny little side stories that people have no idea about, but it's just funny little things. Right. Now, 2010, you worked. I don't know how much you worked with them, but you worked on a film with two young ladies that I've had on my show and have done written interviews with. And that is Melanie Robel and Cindy Kratz when you played Captain Nicholson in 2010's Bikini Monsters. Kind of tell us about your experience on that set, and do you remember working with those two young ladies?
Well, I don't think I really don't think I had any scenes with them on set. The stuff that I did was mostly with Shade. Because I was Captain Nicholson, and I was in the office, and Shade was one of the deputies, and we shot that movie in a state park down in Florida. But I didn't really have any scenes with them. Shade and I just had our scenes, and that was about it for that day.
Now you returned to a zombie. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, but I know both of them, and they're good friends of mine, and I really like working with them. I think the world of both of them. Especially Melanie. Like I said, I've had her on the show. I've interviewed her, and I think she's a young actress who's certainly going places. So I thought it was really cool when I saw that you had a chance to work with her. Yeah, she gets a lot more work than I do.
She's all over the place right now.
I know. She is. It's amazing.
But let me ask you about now with Bikini Monsters. You also did you or did you not compose the score for that film?
I composed a whole bunch of music tracks that they didn't have time to use, unfortunately. Yeah, Shade was just going through some music the other day, and she said, "Hey, listen to this," and I said, "Wow, that's really great. Who is that?" She said, "That's one of your pieces that you recorded for Bikini Monsters." Oh, wow, I totally forgot that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I'm having a really difficult time breaking into the soundtrack for film business.
Still, I mean, it's if the way things come out on collector's edition and things like that. One day that music might wind up being a special feature on the DVD. So never give up hope on that.
Well, yeah, I'm just gonna have to put a bigger push on it, which I'm currently working on right now. I recorded some music back when I was living in Los Angeles in Venice Beach. I probably wrote the stuff when I was living in West Hollywood. And then I redid it when I got some new drum machines and some new recording equipment, probably in the early 90s. So I found some old DAT tapes and some old cassettes that had the music on it, and I've been running it through my Mark of the Unicorn software and trying to remaster it back to some kind of a presentable state. So if anybody's interested in looking at that, probably by the weekend I'll have the newest versions on Reverb Nation. Go to ReverbNation.com and search for Mike Christopher. I got some last year's mixes up there right now, but those will be coming down, and some more high fidelity versions will be up.
Now, you went one of your next genre films. You went on to work in a film with Debbie Rochon called Alien Vengeance 2. Did you get to interact much with Debbie on set?
No, not at all. I was Dr. Ping, and we just shot one day at a doctor's office down in Florida. So
now this is another time that you started working with Jason LeCurie. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah, Jason's great. I really.
Yeah, I was getting ready to ask you. A lot of times when actors start, when they work with the director several times, there's usually a chemistry that goes on. And I was going to ask you, tell us a little bit about what it's like working with Jason, and what it is you like working with him, as a director.
Well, he's really fun to work with. I really like the way he writes. I like the parts that he writes for me. And he always finishes his movies, and which is something that's really important. And he always makes sure you get a copy of it too.
Right.
So, but yeah, Jason's great. I've been over his place a number of times, and I feel bad he moved out of Florida, so I don't get to work on him anymore. But yeah, but him and his wife are good acquaintances of ours. Yeah, Shade's been in a number of his movies too.
Right. Now, you reprised the role of a zombie, actually, in a short in 2011 called What They Seem. How did it feel to go back to the zombie role after all of that time?
Well, it was cool because it was a dream sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to be a Hare Krishna Zombie in a dream sequence. I wore a long mustache and a beard, and just kind of played it as a caricature of the original story. It was a small cameo, but it was cool. It was cool playing that. Yeah, I did a movie for a friend of mine up in Pittsburgh. It was called Experiment 6. And I did write some of the music for that. I wrote some of the music for that movie, and my part was a Buddhist monk, and so I had an orange robe with a red sash. So whenever learning from my experience where I didn't think to ask for the costume from Dawn of the Dead, I asked for the costume from Experiment 6, and they said, "Oh yeah, sure, you can have it. We don't need it anymore." So Mickey Lee's wife actually made that costume, and so I took the costume, and that's what I've been using when I go to conventions.
Nice. Yeah. Now, let me get this right. You were the September 22nd, 2012 episode of the Sleaze Box, the top 5 underrated zombie films. Kind of tell us about going on the show, and it seems surprising to me that someone would list, Dawn of the Dead as one of the top 5 underrated zombie films. Kind of talk about what it was like to go on that show and talk about the film after all of these years.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I did much talking about the show then, but I did.
Yeah, because I couldn't find the actual episode to watch it, so I was just curious as to what they may have asked you, what the public response to that was. But we can
well,
move
actually,
on.
I think what I did was I kind of broke into the set as the Hare Krishna Zombie, and it kind of did something or other. It was really short. It was a really short thing. I think they were doing the interview. They were doing a commentary on the film. It's been a while. It's been a long while since I saw it. They were doing a commentary on the film, and I just kind of broke into the situation. And I think I either chased somebody into a closet, or I came out of a closet, or another cameo.
Now, the next film I'm going to bring up to you is kind of funny. We're kind of tied together by the next film. And that film, of course, is 2012's A Few Brains More, directed by Christine Parker. Mm-hmm. How we're tied together by that film is I worked with her on her first film, The Forever Dead, which, was kind of a later day version of A Fistful of Brains and A Few Brains More. Of course, I've had the chance to work with them. Bill Mulligan, who I did effects with on Forever Dead. Kind of talk about your experiences on working with the crew from A Few Brains More, and you actually came out to North Carolina to film those scenes, did you not?
Yeah, I did. I drove up there with a friend of mine who was actually in the movie, and God, I'm just spacing out on her name right now. But yeah, we drove for 13 hours to get up there, and Heather St. Noel. She was the hippie chick in the movie, and her and her kid were both in the movie. All three of us, we drove up there, and I did some a voiceover for the DJ on the radio station, and then I was also Harry C., the rock promoter at the show, and I got to throw the bagpipe player off the stage, and the bagpipe player turned into a zombie and actually attacked me and ripped my guts out.
One of the things I try to tell people, like a lot of older fans in the genre seem to have a hard time when it comes to female directors and them getting their vision out there and things like that, and one of the things I'll say is it was an absolute delight when, I worked with Christine, and I could definitely see where she has talent. She's still going places. She's still making films today. Kind of tell us about what you thought about her as a director. And, I'm sure that because you've done the role of the Hare Krishna Zombie, you probably get a lot of scripts to play zombies. What was it about this film that A Few Brains More that you were like, yeah, I'm going to drive 15 hours and I'm going to do it?
Well, we met at a horrifying convention up in Maryland, actually. Mm-hmm. I met her up there, and we talked, and she said she was doing this movie. And I said, well, write me in. And she wrote me in, sent me the part, and then she said, well, I have another actor driving up from Tampa. She said, maybe, you both could drive up together, I said, that'd be great, because I had a 1984 Saab 900 Turbo. It was a little too quirky. It was a little too quirky to take on the road. I did drive it to North Carolina once, but that was a few years before, and I really didn't want to trust driving it again. So we both rode up together, and Christine paid for our way to get up there.
Yeah, like I said, I'm glad that you worked with her because I think she's definitely a film director who's going places, and it was nice to see you working with her. Now, the next film, 2013, got a lot of critical acclaim, which and the film is Die Die Delta Pi. Kind of tell us about how you got involved with this one.
Well, I met Sean Donahue whenever he approached me for doing the lead actor in Joe Vampire.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I met him. And he asked Shade if she would be the lead killer in Die Die Delta Pi, and then he asked me to be the professor in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, sure, I'd love to be the professor. And then at the last minute, he kind of pulled my part, gave it to somebody else, and then told me that he would write me a good part in as a cop. And he said, well, you have a police car, right? I said, yeah, I got 2002 Crown Victoria Police Interceptors. He said, cool, you bring it down. Let's use it in the movie. I said, okay, great. I didn't realize it wasn't going to let me drive it. Yeah, right. So I lost my part as the professor, which is a really decent part. And I was kind of looking forward to having that part to put on my reel, And then,
right.
And then I ended up being a cop. It's an okay part. It's at the very end of the movie, so it's a little more memorable, But he actually gave my car to Cindy Cross and let her drive.
Well, since the films kind of correlate because they go back and forth, and that's how you got it. Tell us about the character of Joe Vampire, because while this is not a film that I've had an opportunity to see, the film definitely is drawing my interest. What can you tell us about it, and what can you tell us about the motivations of your character?
Well, I was Sean got a hold of me at a film festival for Creative Loafing, the local hip newspaper coming out of that was coming out of Ybor City in the Tampa area. It has all the trendy, articles on trendy musicians and cool restaurants, food, and covers all the the underground news stories and stuff like that.
Right.
So I met him. I met him there, and he told me he was writing this movie, and he wanted to know if we could get together and talk about it. So he sent me a script, and it was supposed to be a short. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And it was a poor, down on his luck guy who was a vampire from 200 years ago, and he ends up going to this bar and meeting this chick, and he saves her from being attacked by these couple assholes from the bar, and the story kind of ended there. And so we filmed it over a month or two, and it came out really well. I mean, I didn't really see it, but he kept saying, "Man, this is really great." The filming came out great. A guy named Mike Nietzsche is a director of photography, and he did an excellent job filming. I mean, the guy just did wonders. This is basically a micro budget movie. You bring your own water, kind of
I've worked on those.
So for what it was, it came out. And he said, "Well, it came out so well. We're thinking about turning it into a feature. Would you be interested in doing a feature?" I said, "Oh yeah, sure. Let's do it." I mean, I needed some more experience as an actor, and I thought, hell, feature, that'd be great, But somewhere in between the original rough cut that came out and 2.5 years later, Joe Vampire comes out as basically from what I haven't seen it either. The guy didn't even send me a copy. I mean, besides, I don't want to air too much dirty laundry on
Certainly.
On the program, but when you do go through all that work and don't even get a copy of the film, it kind of shows you what's going. There's something wrong with the guy. But so it ended up.
And like I said, I've been on that end of business too, so I mean, I understand where you're coming from on that. Right.
Well, see, over that space of 2.5 years, I sat down with the movie and I watched it about 10 times, and I wrote up a detailed list of all the things that needed to be fixed. And from what I hear, most of it had been fixed. And we had talked on numerous occasions about me doing the soundtrack. And I was looking forward to having a feature, a really finely polished feature, which, I mean, I think the movie has a lot more potential than what I've heard from the people that have actually seen the Joe Vampire. I mean, it's somewhere around 60 minutes now instead of the feature. So I don't know what the hell is going on. I know Mike Nietzsche, the DP, isn't real happy, and I'm not real happy, and I haven't heard the lead actress, Erin Nicole Klein. I haven't heard anything happen from her.
Right.
I don't know what the hell is going on. You know, I mean, I guess it was my own fault for not signing the contract, but the rumor was it was supposed that Sean had a distribution deal with a major distributor if we had gotten the thing finished and turned into a feature. So I just figured, before you had a distribution deal, you would have to sign contracts with all the actors and stuff. But Sean, he got everybody to work for free, and he came out with a version of Joe Vampire. The more time you put into it, the better the movie is. So.
That's true. It's true. Now,
I mean, I'm not
2014.
Hang on a second.
Go ahead.
I'm not trying to find fault with the people that work with him on post-production, because he's the producer, and they go along with whatever he wants to do, and if he wants to cut it apart and change it and do this and that, it's not their fault, but I really had high hopes. I really had high hopes for something quite different but I don't know what came out. All I can say is that I've just read a couple of reviews of it, and that's what I'm basing my opinion on it.
Sure. Now, 2014 has 3 films listed for you. The first one seems to be a play on an old genre favorite of mine, and that's Make Them Die Sleazy. Without giving too much away, is this a spoof off of Cannibal Ferox?
I have no idea what that is. I've actually never seen it.
Okay. Yeah, because they have you listed as John in that. So now another one, and this
we did it.
Go ahead.
We did. Yeah, we did. I think Make Them Die Sleazy, from what I heard, is the edit of another film that the title John means a prostitute, a John for a prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never seen Let's Make Them Die Sleazy.
Okay. Now, one of the other ones, you got to work with another young, talented film director that I have had on the podcast before and have interviewed. You played a reporter in Derek Young's Psychotic State. Kind of talk about how you met Derek and how you got involved with Psychotic State.
Well, I met Derek on at a couple conventions, and we got along really well. He really didn't have a budget to bring me out and shoot me on set, so I did a green screen for him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like a real nice kid, too. I mean,
he's
like
great.
I said, I've had him on, and
Yeah, lots of energy, and I think the director's cut of that movie is like 3 hours long.
Yeah, it's extremely long. I'm waiting to get a review copy of that. I told him I would review it when he finally got me a copy. So
yeah,
I'm really interested in that. Now, there's 2 more films to ask you about real quick.
Mm-hmm.
The first one does not have a release date, nor is it a horror genre film, but I'm still interested. What can you tell us about Limo Driver?
That is an ongoing project that looks like it's finally going to go on. Yeah,
okay.
I think they're going to finally pull it together and make it. I was introduced to that movie a couple years back, and I haven't really seen the script yet, but supposedly my part in that movie is going to be I'm on my way to a horror convention.
Mm-hmm.
but that's about all I know about it. So they're going to be writing a humorous role for me, and something's going to happen while I'm on my way to appear at a horror convention.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely keep an eye out for that.
Yeah. That's
now, things are coming full circle. Night of the Living Dead Genesis is the last title that's listed on your IMDb page.
Oh,
no. How do you feel about coming full circle to doing another film that's part of, the canon that George Romero basically started? And, I see that Judith O'Day is going to be in it, and she's going to be on the podcast in a couple of weeks. Kind of tell us about... Oh, I certainly will. Tell us about how you got involved with this one, and what are your thoughts on doing a film in the series that's not directed by George?
Well, I think that I don't think that there's anything wrong with redoing a movie that's done by somebody else. I mean, Jesus, how many people have redone Beatles songs, and how many people have redone Rolling Stones songs? And if somebody wants to redo a movie and change it and make something different about it, I think that's fine. I personally don't think that the remake of the remake of Dawn of the Dead was anything like Dawn of the Dead. I mean, just because it happened in the shopping mall, it doesn't really qualify.
I agree with you.
To be a remake. I mean, I think it was a good zombie movie, a much better than good zombie movie. But taking the SWAT guys and making them into mall cops, that was like, as far as I'm concerned, that was an insult. But that's the one that everybody sees. That's the one that's on TV. And what are you gonna do? It is what it is. But Night of the Living Dead, when I read the script, it was like I was watching the movie. It was amazing. I mean, the script flowed so well, and the story was so interesting. I mean, I just kept reading and reading and reading and reading and reading, and it was like I was watching the damn thing jump off the page. So I have very high hopes. I have very high hopes for that movie. It's like it's not really a redo of Night of the Living Dead. It's like a prequel. Okay. It's like what takes place before the farmhouse. I mean, I guess the farmhouse part is in there, but it's not. They're not really trying to redo the farmhouse as the basis of the movie. It's like what happened before, which is really a cool idea. I definitely like that. Yeah, I play a director of a psychiatric institute, and it's kind of a short part, and it takes place in the beginning of the movie. I'm not playing the zombie.
Since you brought it up, I wanted to ask you, there was the whole revival with the remake of Dawn of the Dead, and of course, there's the original that you worked on. How do you feel that the two stack up against each other in the historical context of the zombie film?
I don't understand the question. How the remake stacks up?
Yeah, how do you feel that the remake stands up to the original film?
It's not even, and it's totally different. I mean, it's in my estimation, and I'm not saying this because I'm in it, but in my estimation, there's absolutely nothing that stands up to Dawn of the Dead, period. Dawn of the Dead is an entity all on its own, and I don't really consider it like a horror movie per se. I mean, there's a lot of violence in it. There's a lot of, bloody violence, but as far as I'm concerned, it's not really like a horror movie. It's more or less a psychological thriller and a study on what happens to humanity under the worst conditions, the worst possible conditions. Because I mean, the zombies are important, but the zombies aren't really the focus of the movie. The focus of the movie is the people that are in the mall.
Right.
That's the zombies are like just the adjutants. And so, I mean, what George did with that movie as a vehicle for communicating. I mean, absolute. It's just terror. I mean, it's not really a horror movie; it's a terror movie.
Right.
I mean, it's terrible. I mean, I personally think that people know subconsciously that something bad's going to happen.
Right.
And I think that the whole reemergence of the zombie phase, and I mean, George is like way ahead of the curve on that. But people they don't want to, psychologically, they can't deal with the fact that, the dollar used to be, the United States dollar used to be worth $1, and now it's worth like 0.01 cents.
Right.
I mean, they're printing money like it's out of paper. I mean, just printing money out of thin air and loaning it to us at interest and charging us interest out of worthless paper that's printed out of thin air. I mean, it's just, I mean, if you stop and think about that for a second, the apocalypse is already here. I mean, it can't go on. I mean, it can't go on. I think everybody, let's watch this zombie movie, let's watch this horror movie, because they don't want to focus or grasp on the fact that the horror is really building in our own life, But as far as how the remake, I think it's a good movie, really good movie. I mean, I would have loved to have had a part in it. I would, I watched it. I've watched it more than once, which is more than I can say about a lot of movies. It's a good movie, but as far as I mean, with having the guy on the other building, they're communicating with signs. I mean, there's a lot of brilliant ideas in the movie, But as far as comparing it to Dawn of the Dead, there's no comparison. Now, if you want to watch a really good, almost unknown zombie movie, it's called Colin. It's from the UK a couple years back. It actually won some kind of an award at the Cannes Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Called Colin. The guy that did it's named Mark Price. So that is an incredible low-budget zombie movie. I think he had to buy a crowbar or something for one of the props, and that was like the only financial outlay that he had in the whole movie. It was, it's just an incredible low-budget zombie movie. And I talked to him back in the MySpace days, and he said one of the things that got him thinking about doing Colin was the Hare Krishna Zombie. And he said when he saw the Hare Krishna Zombie and Dawn of the Dead, he was wondering, where did that guy come from? What happened? How did he turn into a zombie? What was his life like before he became the Hare Krishna Zombie? And so that ends up being how he approached the movie Colin. It's a movie about a zombie and his life and his feelings and his thoughts and what's going on in his mind as he's turned into a zombie and trying to stay alive and avoid being killed in a world that wants to kill the zombie.
I'll have to definitely check that one out.
Yeah, and one thing we didn't mention was I have a very short cameo as a mechanic in the remake of Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Really? Oh, yeah. See, that one's not even listed on your IMDb.
I know. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Well, yeah. Make sure you get your listed credit for that. I'm looking forward to that one as well.
That's right. Yeah, it's really good. Jimmy Johnson of Darkstone. I think Darkstone is going to get that out.
Now we've only got a few minutes left.
Oh, we shot that movie, and they gave it. He ended up getting the town. It's some kind of a film commission thing, and he ended up getting the town. We got access to this repair center where they repaired all the police cars and the trucks and all the commercial equipment for this town. And we stayed overnight there, and then we got done shooting, and we drove back to I forget what the heck the major town was that I flew out of. But we drove like for 3 or 4 hours through the woods and almost almost hit a couple of deer. It's pretty cool.
We've only got a few minutes left, but I wanted to ask you, you've been hitting the convention circuits a lot, very heavily. And I kind of touched on, I asked you, are you surprised, still to this day, how much the film and the character, has endeared itself to fans and to the general mass populace itself. Zombies are so big these days. When you're at these conventions, what's been the oddest thing you've ever been asked to autograph? Like a lot of actors will tell me foreign DVDs or foreign posters, and what is it like when all of these people show up to see you and the character that you breathe life into?
Well, I still can't believe it, because like I said, I kind of lost touch with the whole thing, and then all of a sudden, in 2007, 2008, it all came roaring back. This year I'm not doing so many conventions, and the 2008 was the 30th anniversary, so 2008, 2009, 2010, I did quite a few conventions. This past year I only did Atlantic City and Spooky Empire's Mayhem, and then in October I'm doing Spooky Empire. Both of those are in Orlando. Mm-hmm. So I'm only doing 3 conventions this year. But it's totally amazing because the grandparents bring their kids, and the kids bring their kids. And
right.
I get to hold like 2-year-olds. They pick them up out of the store. I go, hey, you want to have a picture with them on the Hare Krishna Zombie? And I go, oh yeah, that'd be great. And then we can show it to them, after they watch Shaun of the Dead. And these kids are they're fascinated when they look at me, even if I'm in my orange robe and my gray makeup, they put their arms out and they want me to pick up. They put their arms out. They want me to pick them up, and they're not afraid. I guess I'm like the peaceful zombie, I never do pick a bite anybody. But I end up getting.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is, and I end up getting in everybody's family albums,
What's been the oddest thing you've been asked to sign? What was something that you saw of yourself that you were like, damn, I had no idea that was there?
Well,
I'm sorry?
People make art. They
right.
make artwork, and they bring that to conventions and have me sign it. And that's really cool because they've actually, they went through the effort to draw things and paint things, make these special things, for me to sign. But the weirdest thing that I've ever had to sign was just at the last convention I was at in Atlantic City. And these guys bought some baseball bats, and they stuck like saw blades into them and nails into them, and they actually made these zombie killing tools out of these baseball bats that they had wrapped up in blankets because they had to bring them into the convention.
Wow.
But that's what they brought these things. They brought these things into the convention and had me sign their weapons. I'm going, God, I hope the hell they don't kill somebody with them that's got my signature on it.
Right, your handprint and everything on it.
Oh, my fingerprints and everything. God, that'd be terrible.
Well, Mike, I want to thank you so much for being on. You're always welcome to come on the show. If you ever have news about projects or anything going on, please message me. I'll make sure it goes up on Horror Society. Before I let you go, let people know where the convention is, where you're going to be, website, Facebook, Twitter, anything that fans need to know to follow you.
All right, well, I guess the 3 things you need to know are my email address. It's h_k_zombie @yahoo.com. My Facebook is /Hare Krishna Zombie. It's HareKrishnaZombie. My Twitter is at Hare Krishna ZOMB. And then my music will be on. I think I have a Mike Christopher music page on Facebook that I never go to. I'll start getting that active. And then my Reverb Nation page would be just search for Mike Christopher Reverb Nation.
Excellent. And what convention did you say you were going to be in November?
Spooky Empire will be the end of October. It's in
Very
Orlando.
Nice.
End of Orlando, and if anybody wants to go, you better get your rooms if there's any left at the DoubleTree. But if not, it's Orlando, and there's plenty of rooms all over town. It's a beautiful walk. Weather should be still really nice in October. And Shade and I will be leading the zombie walk at 4:00 on Friday afternoon, and it's like 3/4 of a mile, and it's a great time, fun for all. Get a hotel room, park your car, and be prepared for drunken debauchery for all weekend.
Very nice. Well, again, thank you for being on. And, I got family down in St. Pete, Tampa Bay area, so one of these days when I get back down to Florida, I will look you up if I get a chance.
All right, for sure. Do that.
Anytime, Mike. Thank you. Thank you so much again for being on.
Oh, sure. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed the questions, and you did your research and knew more things than I knew, actually.
Well, I appreciate it. I feel like I if I can't surprise who I'm having on every once in a while, I'm not doing my job.
Exactly. All right,
Talk
man.
to you soon.
Take care.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
And once again, everybody, I want to say thank you so much for Mike Christopher, the Hare Krishna Zombie from the original 1978 Dawn of the Dead. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to go into our last digital dismemberment Blu-ray DVD review, and it's going to be Scream Factory's The Battery. But before we get to that, it's time to go into another double shot of Metal Blade music. We're going to do a double shot of Rivers of Nihil. The name of the CD is The Conscious Seed of Light, and the song is Soil and Seed.
Consciousness, and the magic
horror podcast on Horror Society Radio. This is your host, the Dead Man, Michael Jones from HorrorSociety.com and Living Dead Magazine. You just heard a double shot of Rivers of Nihil from the CD, The Conscious Seed of Light. We opened that set up with Soil and Seed, and you just closed it with Birth of the Omnisavior. I think it's time for our final digital dismemberment.
Digital dismemberment.
And in our final digital dismemberment spotlight for the evening, we are going to be reviewing Scream Factory's Blu-ray release of The Battery. You know, straight just from the press release, first of all, in a world savaged by the undead, two men must not only survive a zombie apocalyptic mayhem, but also learn to survive each other. Or will they? Released today, Scream Factory releases writer-director Jeremy Gardner's enthralling zombie horror drama, The Battery, on Blu-ray and DVD. Featuring a general dose of suspense, character tension, and wit, this critically acclaimed movie follows two former baseball players as they traverse the rural back roads of a post-plague New England teeming with the undead, psychological strain, and their stark personality differences. The Battery stars Jeremy Gardner, Adam Cronheim, Niels Bull, Alana O'Brien, Jamie Pantanella, Larry Fessenden, and Kelly McQuaid. Packed with insightful special bonus content, The Battery is a must-have for movie enthusiasts, loyal fans, and collectors. More from the back of the box. Two former baseball players, Ben, who's played by Jerry Gardner, and Mickey, who's played by Adam Cronheim, cut an aimless path through a desolate New England. They stick to the back roads and forests to steer clear of the shambling corpses that patrol the once bustling cities and towns. In order to survive, they must overcome the stark differences in each other's personalities. Ben embraces an increasingly feral, lawless, and nomadic lifestyle, while Mickey is unable to accept the harsh realities of the new world. Mickey refuses to engage in Ben's violent games and longs for the creature comforts he once took for granted: a bed, a girl, and a safe place to live. When the men intercept a radio transmission from a seemingly thriving, protected community, Mickey will stop at nothing to find it, even though it's made perfectly clear that he is not welcome. You know, a lot of times you hear hype about, oh, this is the greatest zombie movie since this. This is the greatest zombie movie since that. You know, and as far as that goes, this movie really does rank up there with one of the better zombie films that I've seen. But the interesting caveat for the film is you're not overwhelmed with zombies the whole time. What they've managed to do with The Battery is take a concept that I've been wanting to see from zombie films for a long time now, and that's the interpersonal relationships between the characters. And while the series The Walking Dead does work in that context of the interpersonal relationships and the things that go wrong while they're there, The Battery, I think, brings it even more into a tight focus. And that may be because of the fact that it's, you know, just the two characters and the circumstances that they're dealing with as they go along. It's very interesting to, you know, how Mickey and Ben work, you know, how they get along, kind of how Mickey is, you know, listens to his headphones more, tries to disassociate himself from the violence and what's going on, whereas Ben is the more practical of the two and deals with the majority of the situations. There's a lot on this disc to really like. First and foremost, looking at the actual presentation of the disc, I love the cover art. There is an alternative cover art on the inside. The one that they put on the front was the original cover art. I do enjoy the drawn cover art as well. Really harkens back to a time in early 80s and late 70s when you had dynamic posters drawn. So you do have your choice and selections when it comes to the DVD cover. Special features, while this one is not the chock-full, crammed, standard Scream Factory release, there is a lot here to actually enjoy. The audio commentary is absolutely fantastic. There is a 90-minute behind-the-scenes making of The Battery, which really goes into a lot of incredible detail about the struggles of being an independent film director, making an independent film, and being prepared for what you're trying to do. There's a lot that young filmmakers can learn from watching this. And, while the director and the actors and the crew, they talk about the hard times that they had on set, which I think is important to convey. A lot of people think that making films is this big party where you just go out and do it all, and there really is a lot that goes into it. Squibs don't work, other, shots don't work, sound gets in the way. And it's really nice to see how they portrayed all of this and all of the hard work and what it took, bouncing all of the ideas off of one another. So that's a pretty nice feature, and you really learn a lot about the film. The outtake reel helps to fill in a few holes. The movie certainly could have been a lot darker. I don't want to give away a lot of that, but you really, when you watch the making of and you see the outtake reels, you'll find out there's a lot of scenes where something's changed and definitely changes some of the dynamics you feel about certain characters in the film. Of course, you have the theatrical trailer. There are a couple of trailers for other Scream Factory releases on the disc as well. There's also a featurette on the music of The Battery, and it really gives you a nice look at the incredible music for this film. As far as zombie films go, too, such an air of claustrophobia and dread in certain parts of this film really make it work. The character dynamics are extremely well put together. You could actually believe that these two men were traveling around everywhere together trying to survive this horrific apocalypse. As far as the film goes, I would definitely give this film an 8. The Battery is definitely a film that people should see, especially if you like zombie films. But if you're just tired of seeing the consistent gut-munching and everything, this really brings a different emotional dynamic to the zombie genre and how zombie films should be looked at. I'm highly impressed. I'm looking forward to seeing more work from Jeremy Gardner and his cast and crew of this film. As far as the special features and everything that goes with it, I would rate this disc an 8 as well. Again, the audio commentary is extremely insightful. The making of The Battery featurette is absolutely stunning and answers many questions and shows the entire process of filmmaking. And it was nice to actually see how the music came along for this film, because I feel like you learned a lot about the process and how it all came together. Highly, highly recommend this film. Head on over to www.screamfactory.com and pick up your copy as soon as possible. You can also head on out to your local big box retailer. I believe Walmart's and Target's could be carrying this film. I believe I saw that in something else that was sent out to me. Regardless of the fact, check this out. This is kind of a groundbreaking zombie film, and I think it's an element and a way of looking at zombies that I think more directors should take a look at. So it's been an absolutely fantastic evening. Again, I want to say thank you to composer and actor Mike Christopher for coming on, most famously known for being the Hare Krishna Zombie in 1978's Dawn of the Dead. I want to say thank you to Kelly out at Metal Blade Records for supplying all the fantastic metal that we got to hear tonight. And thank you to Tom Chen and Lauren Bloom out at Scream Factory for sending along that copy of The Battery for me to review. Keep an eye out on HorrorSociety.com later this week for the official written review. Also want to say thank you again to Mac Brewer for that fantastic trade that sent me The Burning Moon for review. And thanks to the folks at Intervision for putting it out on DVD for a whole nother generation of horror fans to enjoy. The next couple of weeks are going to be an extremely amazing set of weeks, including next week's featured guest, Brian Usna. Make sure to look it up. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen, rest in Peace.